Welcome to another episode of Breaking Through Your Now. This is your life coach, Sybil Sloan, and I have a special guest with me today in the studio. It's none other than Miss Takeshia Hall-Humphrey, and we're going to talk a little bit about this unique month that we're embarking upon, the month of October. Remember that if you change the way that you think, you will alter the entire course of your life. This is Domestic Awareness Month. So for everybody who's been through, for everybody who's going through, and for everyone who has watched someone go through, we pray that these episodes each week are strength, encouragement, but more importantly, empowerment to help you reach the next and the best version of you. I want to say thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I believe, and this is not really anything that you've given me verbatim, but I feel and I believe that you have a story and a journey that can help someone. And with domestic violence, it's such a touchy
Yes.
topic because people are fine whenever they've come out of it.
Right.
They're fine when they've moved past it. But sometimes in the heart of it, the thick of it, while it's going on, it's a very touchy subject because what I also realize is that everybody has their definition of what domestic violence looks like. And
Right.
sometimes what one person calls violence or abuse, another person accepts it as normal behavior. For
Yes.
instance, and then we're going to make sure we let people know where you're hailing from. For instance, certain things that I believe people do, they'll say, oh, that's just how he is, or that's just how she is. That's their personality. And I just personally don't ever believe that it's okay to be abusive. Even if
Right.
that's your personality, even if that's just who you are, I just don't think people get a pass on that. So I'm just going to say to you, if you are experiencing domestic violence, if you're in a situation now, I encourage you to dial 911 and get help
Yes.
and get out of that situation. And more importantly, find a way if you can't just leave because some people are really in a situation that's so bad that they can't just leave. Some people have to sneak and leave. Find a way to get out so that you can save your life and live longer. So, Miss Takeshia Hall Humphrey, where are you from in the great big state of Alabama?
Well, hello. I am originally born and raised in Selma, Alabama.
Selma, the
Yes.
one of the home of one of the homes of the civil rights.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And now you reside and you moved away from there. So being from Selma, were you the only child? Did you have siblings?
I have siblings. I'm the oldest from my mom, but
Okay.
I do have other siblings, and I'm somewhere in the middle from my dad. So,
Okay. Listen, well, I'm my mom's baby and my daddy's oldest, so I definitely
yes.
understand. So this month, the month of October, being a very heartfelt month, and October is not only known for dealing with the issue of domestic violence. It's also
Yes.
Breast Cancer Awareness
Yes.
Month, as one of the things that we observe and we tend to reflect upon. But when you think about domestic violence, before you experienced it, what did you think it was?
I thought it was normal. Um, I come from a background of abuse. We were not taught what love is or was at that time. Um, I witnessed it with my own eyes. I saw the fights. I saw the name calling. I saw the dishes flying across the room. So as I got older, I thought it was normal. I knew that something was lacking. I knew that I desired love, but I honestly did not know what love was or what it looked like or what it should look like.
Wow. So you're telling me in the place of your life where you in the tender ages, the
Yes.
impressionable ages,
Yes.
the ages of the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8,
Yes.
which are the times in our lives where we are impressed upon. you're saying at that point in your life, you experienced domestic violence and it was your normal life.
Yes.
So, what did you think about if you went to someone's house and they weren't doing those things? Did you ever have those experiences or thoughts?
Well, I didn't get out much when I was younger, so I was only exposed to my family, my immediate
Okay.
family. Um, so just not having the exposure, not being around what we would call a normal family, that to me was normal.
So, do you think you didn't go out because it's just you didn't go out a lot, or do you think your family thought if you went out more, you would tell what went on, or do you even think they cared if you told?
Um, no, it was my mom. She worked a lot, and my grandmother raised me. So, um, to grandmother, I was only supposed to go to school, get my schoolwork done, and that was it. And that's what I did for a long time until I got to the point of, I guess you would call it, a stage of rebellion.
Wow. So look, you know me. I want to talk about the stage of rebellion, but I can't do it right now because we have a commercial that's coming up. Stay right here. We'll be right back with more Breaking Through Your Now with your life coach, Sybil Sloan, and my guest, Takeshia Hall-Humphrey.
We'll be right back with Breaking Through Your Now with Sybil Sloan. Now, back to Breaking Through Your Now with Sybil Sloan.
And welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that break. Now we're back again speaking with Miss Takeshia Hall-Humphrey. And before we went to break, we were talking about how our behaviors at home or our home environments become what we picture or image as normal. So you said grandma said or expected or set the expectation that all you were supposed to do was get your schoolwork done. So
Right.
going to school and being at home. So I noticed you did not say going to school and being at home and going to church. Because in the South, I know that's a big staple. Was that a part of your home environment as
Yes,
well?
definitely. I was definitely in church Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But yes, I was baptized at the age of 12. So the expectations of church, I was in the choir. I did all the things that grandma required me to do.
Wow. I'm a I've been around grandma, until she left us in 2015, but she set the expectations and what she said went, whether you wanted
Yes.
it to go or not. So back to the part where you said it became normal, it was normalized, and this is how it looks in real life to you. How did it make you feel? Did it make you feel as when this was going on?
Mhm.
What were the feelings, if you can recall back? Because some people, when they go through those things, they have what's called post-traumatic stress syndrome, and they instead of them or post-traumatic syndrome disorder, and instead of them moving forward through it, they block it in their head, so they really don't see what's going, or they don't realize what's going on as an adult, because in that place in their mind they've actually gone back and locked that area up. Can you actually still travel back there in your mind, or is it something so painful that you closed it off and suppressed it where you can't recall it?
Now that I'm delivered from it, I can travel back there in my mind.
My
Um, yes, because I realized that that testimony helped me to become who I am today.
wow, wow, wow. So so for a moment, if we could just go back to that place, not to re-experience it, but to help somebody that's watching, what was the atmosphere like? Because you said dishes flying. I know we've seen cartoons, we've seen TV where dishes are literally flying. What did that look like in the mind of a child?
Wow. Um, I could remember the arguments, um, the very hostile arguments, And when the arguments got to a certain level, then the next thing you could expect was something going across the room, and it shatters. And normally it was, like I said, a dish or a glass or whatever my mom could get to at that time when she was upset.
So did you run, hide? Did you take cover? Or was it like, this will be over in a minute? You sort of kind of knew the routine and you just positioning your mind, this will be over in a minute, and walked away.
I could remember a time that I was so fed up that I decided to help her fight.
Wow. And now this is a child because now you're trying to help my mama
Right,
because I'm tired of my mama experiencing this.
right.
Did you ever, as a child, ask your mom, Mama, why do you stay? Did you ever ask her that question? Or was that a question you felt fearful to ask?
I thought about it. However, I was still a daddy's girl. I love my father. I love my father. And I was a daddy's girl. And it was kind of, I wanted the best of both worlds. So I didn't want my mom angry at me. And at the same time, I didn't want my dad angry at me.
So was the violence towards your mom only, or when the anger persisted, was it towards the entire, or your mom's anger? Because you said she would throw things as well. Who did you ever become a victim? I guess I would say. Did you ever become a victim of it, or was it just in the parental scope?
It was just in the parental scope.
Okay, so that's a good thing because some households, the children actually experience the abuse as well. So you, and that has to be a lot. Like I'm just unpacking it. Like I'm in the laundry bag unpacking it. It's like it's a lot of
Yes.
laundry in this bag. Because
Yes.
think as a kid, you love your dad,
Right.
you love your mom, but I'm watching people that say they love each other hurt each other.
Right.
So
Yes.
now I get why you said I didn't know what love was supposed to look like. Because that will make you believe if I'm not experiencing the same thing that they're experiencing, this isn't love.
Yes.
A person being calm, nice, caring, and compassionate. What's wrong with you? You're not normal.
Right.
So you tell me what you think, because I feel like I'm putting words in your mouth. But tell me, what do you think? How did that unveil itself?
Well, and you're so right. If I wasn't in that position, then it wasn't normal to me. Because not only did I have the experience the abuse at home, I was bullied in school.
Oh,
So I had it coming from home. At school, I had no safe place. So as I grew older, I turned to, um, as my grandma would say, buying friends, trying to please people, people pleasing. And I knew that there was something more. I knew that there was a love there, and I desired that. So I would attach to
oh wow.
people looking for that love.
And they didn't deliver,
Yes, ma'am. They did not deliver.
which means you perpetuated the situation. And so now, not only, and I'm inserting these moments because I always say there's a didactic moment. Not only are you at home experiencing abuse,
Right.
because it's not really you in the middle of abuse, it's your parents, but you're experiencing abuse.
Yes.
And then you go to school, and now you're at school experiencing abuse because the people at school are bullying you.
Yes.
What do you do at the point when you recognize this ain't working? What do you do at the point where you realize this don't seem like this is supposed to be my life? Because you said you were 12 when you were baptized. Were you still living in an environment where the abuse was going on at the age of 12?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wow. So what did getting baptized do for you?
Um, Getting baptized, it gave me a sense of who God was. Um, I could go back to my grandmother's teaching, being in the church, being in the choir. At that time, I know now that, okay, God loves me. However, I still don't understand what that should look like.
Wow. That's a good place for us to take a break. I tell you, I believe this is a valuable conversation, and my prayer is that you will call a neighbor, call a friend, and let them know that we're on this entire month discussing domestic violence, and we'll be right back after these messages.
We'll be right back with Breaking Through Your Now with Sybil Sloan.
Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Dolores Tarver, licensed psychologist, coming to you with a mental health moment. Physical and mental health are intertwined. So a lot of times those physical ailments are actually related to our mental stress. So those headaches, backaches, stomach aches, neck tension could be related to the fact that you're not taking the best care of yourself. Make sure you get adequate rest. On average, that's 7 to 8 hours a night. For some people more, some people less. We also want to make sure we're getting adequate water intake. So you want to do your weight in half and get the number of ounces. So if you weigh 180 pounds, 90 ounces of water is what is recommended for you. Also physical activity. And you say, I don't have time for that. And I say, yes, you do. All you need is 10 minutes per day, 3 times a day to get those 30 minutes at least 5 days a week. You can walk around your living room 3 times a day. You can in the evening go outside with the kiddos and take a walk, or you may just be able to do a little stretching. Whatever you do, be safe, be encouraged.
Now, back to Breaking Through Your Now with Sybil Sloan.
Thank you so much and welcome back. We are here and we are talking about domestic violence, and it is indeed a heavy place. It's a place and it's a situation that have taken the lives and claimed the lives of so many women in our country, in our families, in our communities. And we're talking to one of our community leaders, Miss Takeshia Hall-Humphrey, and she's talking through her childhood. We're going to be on for the next couple of sessions talking about this, but now we're just talking about how she journeyed through it as a child in her childhood. So you said church was what you did.
Yes.
That was sort of kind of your refuge, I guess.
Yes.
So you talked about scriptures and did things. Did you ever get to the point where you're like, what you're experiencing in church don't match what you experience in the home?
Um, well, I did once I got older.
Oh, wow. Wow. So when you say older, what do you mean when you say older? Because when I say older, some people say older, that means 20, 21. Some people say older, 15. Some people say older, 18. So how do you define older?
I learned what God love is when I hit maybe 25, my mid 20s. I learned what love should look like in my
That's
mid 20s.
that's amazing. So who did you tell about being bullied at school?
No one.
You carried all of that?
There was no one to talk to. My mom had her own things going on. Grandma had her own things going on. There was no one to talk to about it. Not that I felt comfortable with talking to
Right.
about it.
Because did you think if you told them about what you went through at school, they was going to find out about what you went through at home? Or did they already know?
No, no one knew. Now my mom suspected something was going on at school because I can remember taking her money out of the candy jar, what
Wow.
she called it. I took all of her money out of the
Right.
candy jar to pay the bully, not to beat me up. So she,
And it's good you can laugh about that because people commit suicide. Kids are killing themselves now over bullies,
yes,
people who mistreat them, people who do what you stealing from your mama
yes,
so that you can keep somebody from assaulting you, abusing you. And most bullies come from environments where bullying is going on.
yes,
A lot of people's like, no, that's not true. Most people who are like that come from an environment where they're feeling bullied, and sometimes it's through parents. What would you say to a child in that spot? I know we're going to have to take another break shortly, but what would you say to a child that's in the place where they feel like they're being bullied?
bullying is not okay. And if you're being bullied, get help. Talk to your teacher. Talk to your parents. And even if you don't feel like you're able to talk to the teacher or your parents, find an adult that you can relate to, that you feel comfortable talking to, and tell somebody about it so that it can be taken care of properly.
Wow. And remember that you matter and your life matters,
Yes.
and that somebody loves you, and that even though you may feel like you're ignored at home and you may feel like you're being picked at school, that you're precious. You're precious to God.
Yes.
You're precious to me. You're precious to Keisha. You're precious because you were wonderfully and beautifully made. I know we're gonna have to take a moment and go to a commercial, but I want you to know we're gonna be right back. We're gonna wrap up talking about abuse as a child and living in an abusive home, and then we're going to conclude that, and you guys are going to come back to the following show, and we're going to talk about how it looks as an adult. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with Breaking Through Your Now with Sybil Sloan. Now, back to Breaking Through Your Now with Sybil Sloan.
And welcome back. We hope that you enjoyed that break. And more importantly, we hope that something that we've said thus far has caused you to think about this entire month, domestic violence awareness. We're with Takeshia Hall-Humphrey, and she's telling us about her journey as a kid and living through abuse. So, Grandma took you to church. She took you into a different place. Mama realized you're probably being bullied at school because you started stealing money out of her canteen to pay the bully,
Right.
to not beat you up.
Yes.
How did home life start shaping? I noticed you were still with grandma. You said the abuse was still going on with your parents. What started happening? Because now you're 12 and you're getting older. When did you start? Did it ever become abnormal in the house to be peaceful?
Well, I was back and forth between grandmama and my mother. And while with my mom, this was from the age of 13 to 16. While with my mom, of course, I was still seeking love. I knew that there was more. I knew that I desired a family that didn't just argue and fight all the time. I found myself attached to a family. And in that attachment with that family, I ended up being molested and raped.
So it got worse
It got
between 13 and
worse.
16.
It got worse. Yes.
So did you, and I noticed, because this is what I noticed, the pattern was you didn't address a lot of those things.
Right.
Did you address this issue?
I tried to address it. Um, well, I would say I addressed it because here's the thing: when it happened, now it went on for a while, but the straw was when I was taken into the woods, and three young men had their way with me. When they dropped me off in a neighborhood a couple of miles from home and just left me there. I ended up having to walk home. My clothes was all torn, so of course mom knew, like, okay, what's going on. So I ended up telling her what had transpired. She called the police. We went through the whole process, the rape process. We went through the court. But as we got closer to the judge making the decision, I asked the judge to throw the case out because, again, I was being bullied even more now at school.
Wow. And you didn't want to continue to be bullied at school.
Exactly.
And because you knew that if they were prosecuted, because were these boys your age?
They were older. They were a couple of years older than me, and of course, they were popular because they were athletes.
And so they got the pass.
Yes.
And then because you were being mistreated, you gave them another pass. How did that, and that's why we have a two-part series with Miss Humphrey. How did that transcend into adulthood with you? because the next part of our story is going to be about your adulthood. So we're just going to give them a glimpse of how that transcended, because now you acknowledge I was looking for love in all the wrong places. I thought love was getting my head beat up, fighting domestic violence, because that's what mom and daddy showed me.
Right.
I went to grandma's and got a little bit of Jesus, and that was my refuge or my safe place.
Right.
But I still wasn't safe because at school I was still bullied and picked at and was
Yes.
paying my way, stealing from my mama to pay the bully.
Right.
So where are you at in your mind? So we're going to take the 16 to 20, because the next part of our show we'll pick up at 21. 16 to 20, what took place? I think we probably have about another minute or two before we have to wrap up for this show. But what has taken place between 16 and 20?
16 through 20, I became very promiscuous. Um, I didn't, to me, nothing mattered anymore. Life didn't matter. I ended up getting pregnant and having my daughter at the age of 17. And again, even in that situation with her father, he beat me almost to my death on a school bus. And no one helped because, again, I was not the popular kid. So from that moment on, it was a whatever life. Whatever happens, happens.
So you lost the will to live, and you lost the will to see purpose in life,
Yes.
because what looked like your experience began to teach you something different. I know this is a hard stopping place, but guess what? We have got to wrap it up so we can prepare for the next part of the show. But I know this has been amazing for you, and some of you are at the edges of your seat. Tune back in on next week, and we're going to finish the rest of this segment with Miss Takeshia Hall-Humphrey as she takes us into the adulthood of her life with domestic violence. This is your life coach, Sybil Sloan, reminding you that if you change the way that you think, you will alter the entire course of your life.